All right, folks, we have an important update on the Jeremy Loffredo case. He is being held in Israel. He is not detained. He is not in prison anymore, but he is not allowed to leave the country. And so Wyatt Reed from the Gray Zone did a report on this with an update. Israel jails Gray Zone's Jeremy Loffredo, releases him pending investigation. On October 11th, journalist Jeremy Loffredo was ordered released from Israeli jail. Israeli soldiers arrested the Jewish-American reporter and 3 other journalists at a checkpoint in the West Bank on October 8th. According to one of the jailed reporters, DeAndre X, the soldiers blindfolded them tightly, roughed them up, drawing guns on them at one point, and hauled them off to detention in Jerusalem. The soldiers illegally requested that the journalists hand in their phones, and when they refused, the soldiers pointed a gun at one of the journalists, hit him with their hands and the barrel of a gun, then dragged him out of the car and slammed him onto the concrete. When lying on the ground, they pointed 2 guns at his head. The rest of the journalists exited the car and the military raided it, confiscating phones, cameras, and personal items, said DeAndre X. I knew a girl who took the birthright trip, and she was a young Jewish woman, and then she went back to go and visit the West Bank. She came from, like, a left-wing, like, politically conscious family, so, she was going there into the West Bank, not as a journalist, but, as someone curious about the conditions there. The IDF at the checkpoint, they grabbed the laptop from her, because they suspected, I don't know, she was a critic of the state or something. They literally grabbed her laptop, threw it on the floor, took their guns out, and shot it to shit.
Right, yeah.
For no reason. Absolutely no reason. This was basically, it was basically a tourist who was going there. They just do whatever the fuck they want. In this case, it was obviously much worse. But that's why that did not surprise me in the least. That's fairly routine. They'll treat people like that. Andre recalled that in the course
of sounds like Nazis.
Yeah, it does. Interesting.
It's like Nazis.
You're right.
Just stop and abuse people on the street.
That's right.
Recourse to the law. Nothing you can do about it. All like Nazis.
Andre recalled that in the course of abusing the journalist, the soldiers told the female Israeli photographer that she should have been, I won't even read the rest of that sentence, but you all see it on the screen there. Nice. Real nice. Very professional. This sounds like a real bastion of liberal values. Real bastion of democracy.
We saw a Zionist screaming that at Medea Benjamin.
Medea Benjamin. Absolutely. Yep. While Loffredo's colleagues were released after 11 hours, the Judea and Samaria division of the Israeli police opened an investigation into Loffredo for supposedly aiding the enemy in a time of war. The Israeli police's accusation related to Loffredo's video report, which we showed you parts of last time, for the Gray Zone covering the aftermath of Iranian missile strikes aimed at Israeli military installations. According to the police, Jeremy had revealed the locations of missile drops near or inside sensitive security facilities with the aim of bringing this to the notice of the enemy and thereby assisting them in their future attacks. Except there's a problem with this, which we'll get into. On October 9th, an Israeli court declared it had reasonable suspicion to extend the journalist's imprisonment. At a hearing the next day, the police insisted to Magistrates Court Judge Zion Sahrai that Loffredo was not an actual journalist but did not present any evidence that he was pursuing a hostile ulterior agenda. What undergirds freedom of the press is that journalists are allowed to publish material without the assumption that they are acting on behalf of anyone, right? I mean, that's the whole point. If you can ascribe a motive to anyone, especially without evidence, then there is no free press. Then you may as well not have journalism. A journalist from the Israeli publication Ynet countered the allegation that Loffredo violated Israeli censorship laws by pointing out that the military censor approved his own article in which a tweet containing Loffredo's full video report for the Gray Zone was embedded. So there you go. This journalist says that the military censor approved his own article, which included Loffredo's report. So was it censored or was it not? Furthermore, Judge Sarai ordered Loffredo's release, stating that since Israeli military censor agreed to allow Ynet to publish both word of Jeremy's arrest and the publications that led to his arrest, Israel could no longer justify his continued detention. However, the police appealed Sarai's decision, protesting that the censor only approved the Ynet article retroactively and would have never done so if it had been submitted in advance. What the fuck kind of sense does that make?
What does that even mean?
Yeah, what kind of argument is that?
They can't disapprove it after? Retroactively,
right.
They can't say we don't approve of it?
If they sign off on it, that means they sign off on the materials contained within it, which includes his original report. So that just makes no sense at all. That police also complained that Loffredo had refused to unlock his phone for them, insisting they needed more time to crack the device. We believe that we will find things on the phone and we will be able to link him to the alleged crime, a police representative stated. That argument did not hold water with Jerusalem District Court Judge Hannah Miriam Lomp, however. The court first instance did not err when it ordered the release of the respondent, Judge Lomp stated during the October 11th appeal. From the detailed investigative actions, there is no fear of disruption from Germany, and in light of the reasons stated above, the cause of danger is also not clear. Though Lomp ordered the journalist be released, she gave police until October 20th to continue their digital strip search. Until then, Loffredo will remain without his passport and will not be permitted to return home to his family in the United States. Just what Israeli officials hope to uncover in their search of Loffredo's cell phone remains a mystery. Also unclear is why the investigation focuses exclusively on Loffredo and not on any of the numerous other reporters who reported the locations of the Iranian strikes. So after Iran launched several hundred ballistic missiles at Israeli military targets on October 1st, several international journalists broadcast reports from the scene of blasts, including ABC News' Matt Gutman and PBS NewsHour's Nick Schifrin. The Gray Zone published a statement on October 10th unequivocally rejecting the Israeli police's outrageous accusations against Loffredo. We repeat that we stand by Jeremy's report. The claim that Loffredo and the Gray Zone represent Israel's enemy in wartime merely suggests that the Israeli government views the American people and free press, yes, as a legitimate target. Indeed, we are an independent outlet with no relationship, financial or otherwise, with any foreign country or political organization. As we fight the fraudulent charges against Jeremy, we ask readers to contact the U.S. State Department and urge them to act in his defense. The U.S. has an obligation to defend its journalists without political prejudice, particularly when they are fulfilling the vital task of providing the public with facts on the ground. Yes, and so here's the graphic that's been going pretty viral on Twitter for good reason. Screenshot this if you have to. Write the number down. Write the email address down. Email the U.S. Embassy in Israel at Jerusalem, acs@state.gov, to demand his full release back home where he belongs. Definitely take action. Make a phone call. Send an email. We really have to rally behind Jeremy here, since you noticed, I'm sure this wasn't lost on anyone who has been following this, not a peep about this in any mainstream media outlet. Nope, nowhere.
Not a word.
Whatsoever.
Not a word. Not a word.
One word.
Imagine this happened in China.
Yeah.
Imagine this happened in North Korea. Imagine this happened in Venezuela.
Yep. Imagine how many times this happens and we don't find out about it. The only reason we found out about it is when we were in this space. Obviously, the Gray Zone is huge in our space and in our sort of Twitter circles and stuff. So word spreads fast amongst us. But what if this happened to somebody who was outside our little space here? Right. We don't know. Like I said, that she wasn't a friend of mine, but I knew who she was. She went from Israel to the West Bank, threw a checkpoint, but throw the laptop on the floor, shoot it, break it, destroy it. Like, they abuse people like this as a matter of routine. This is an extreme example, but we don't know that this is the only example of its kind. I mean, there could be media blackouts about other journalists who are suffering this same thing. We know about this because he's in our space and we need to get him home. So send the email, do what you have to do here. But it is really chilling, chilling.
This is very, very important. So often people ask, what can I do to help? This is what you can do to help. Throw that up one more time. Look at the number there. That's the email. Bombard them. Bombard them with phone calls. Bombard them with emails. Let them know people are paying attention. To go to that country knowing that this is a rogue criminal regime that can do anything to you. And unlike countries that America has a hostile relationship towards, there will be no pushback from the United States
Right.
on what they do to you. Like really going to Israel and doing this kind of reporting, we know from the history, your life is in danger. Your life is in danger. They will snipe you and then say, oh, yes, no, rule of law, we're investigating. Then they'll release an investigation 4 years from now,
Right.
5 years from now. That's the risk you're taking. So just incredible bravery on the part of Jeremy and everybody who's going over there to try to reveal the truth. And we know this is a sick, criminal regime with no regard for the law and no fear of retaliation from the United States for what it does to U.S. citizens. They do fear public backlash of a kind that's going to cost them money. You have a lot of companies pulling out of Israel, a lot of banks refusing to do business with Israel now, a lot of investment firms divesting from Israel. Their economy is really hurting. They don't want these things on the front pages. They don't want it on the front pages that they're abusing an American journalist. So that is what we can do. We can make it clear to them people are paying attention to this case.
Absolutely. 100%. So there it is. There's the phone number and the email. Take that down and send the email for those listening on audio. Number +11 972 2630 4000. If you don't have international dialing, which I'm assuming most of you don't, send the email JerusalemACS at.
Please clap.